بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى. أما بعد، يقول الله تبارك وتعالى في كلامه المجيد بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم: إنا أنزلناه في ليلة مباركة إنا كنا منذرين. صدق الله العظيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وبارك وسلم. My dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, the connection between Ramadan and Quran is obvious. شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن, the month of Ramadan in which the Quran was revealed. But it is not only Quran. As a matter of fact, all divine scriptures, heavenly revelations, were revealed in the month of Ramadan. So Suhufi Ibrahim, the scrolls that Ibrahim alayhi salam received, were on the 6th of Ramadan. And وَآتَيْنَا دَاوُودَ الزَّبُورَ, we gave Dawood alayhi salam Zabur, was revealed on the 12th of Ramadan. And Tawrat was revealed on the 18th of Ramadan. And Quran was revealed Inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadr, on one of the odd nights of the last 10 nights of Ramadan. Not only Quran and Ramadan, but if we dig a little deeper, Quran and fasting have a lot in common. There's a hadith of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Al-Quran was siyam yashfiyan. Quran and fasting both will intercede on the day of judgment. In other words, fasting will be given a speaking form on the day of judgment. Fasting. And fasting will say, oh Allah, this person, he fasted. I kept him away from food and drink for your sake. Enter him into Jannah. And Quran will be given a speaking form. And Quran will say, oh Allah, this person, he recited me day and night for your sake. Enter him into Jannah. So Al-Quran was siyam yashfiyan. There's a lot of similarities between Quran and fasting. Quran comes from Allah, and there's no other way to get closer to Allah than what comes from Him. From what comes from Him. Quran is the divine speech of Allah Azza wa Jal. And when it comes to fasting, there's a hadith Qudsi in which Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has said that Allah has stated, as-siyam or as-sawmu li wa ana ajzi bi, that fasting is for my sake and I give the reward, or wa ana ujza, I am the reward for fasting. So both Quran and fasting strengthen, bring you closer to Allah. If you want to get close to Allah, both do it. Both can do it for you. But moving on, Quran, when we say Quran, we mean the recitation of the Quran, the understanding of the Quran, the implementation of the Quran on our 6-foot body, the contemplation of the Quran. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, in a hadith in Ibn Majah, hadith number 535, and Sa'id ibn Abi Waqqas radiyallahu anhu qala, nazala Quran, inna hadha al-Quran nazala bi huznin. Indeed, this Quran was revealed in a sober, in a very serious state. فَإِذَا قَرَأْتُمُوهُ, when you recite the Quran, فَبْكُوا, cry. فَإِن لَمْ تَبْكُوا, if you are not able to cry, فَتَبَاكَوْا, then make the appearance of crying. People cry for all different reasons. People cry out of joy, out of physical pain, out of emotional hurt, out of loneliness, out of distress, out of stress. A lot of different forms of crying. And there's even fake crying, crocodile tears. The brothers of Yusuf alayhi salam came. جَاءُوا أَبَاهُمْ إِشَاءٍ يَبْكُونَ. They came at night to their father, crying, crocodile tears, fake tears. But this is crying out of the love of Allah Azza wa Jal. Yes, when a person recites the Quran. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam One night he asked Aisha radiallahu anha, "Idhan li, give me permission, and ata'abbadu rabbi, so I can worship my Lord." He got up, made wudu, and stood up to pray. In the prayer, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam recited Surah Ma'idah, Surah number 5. And when he came to ayat number 118, which is, "In tu'adhibhum فَإِنَّهُمْ عِبَادُكَ." O Allah, if you punish them. Isa alayhi salam is saying to Allah on the day of judgment, "O Allah, if you punish them," punish who? The Christians, those who were following Jesus, the followers of Isa alayhi salam. "O Allah, if you punish them, فَإِنَّهُمْ عِبَادُكَ," they are your servants. You have that right. You have that authority to punish them. وَإِن تَغْفِرْ لَهُمْ, and O Allah, if you forgive them, إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ الْعَزِيزُ الْحَكِيمُ, then you are mighty and wise. This is ayat 118. To understand the impact of this ayah, you need to go back 2 ayats, to ayat 116 of Surah Ma'idah, where the conversation, question and answer begins between Allah Azza wa Jal and Isa alayhi salam, Jesus Christ. Allah Azza wa Jal will ask, وَإِذْ قَالَ اللَّهُ, when Allah will say, "Ya Isa ibn Maryam, O Isa son of Mary, أَأَنْتَ قُلْتَ لِلنَّاسِ اتَّخِذُونِي وَأُمِّيَ إِلَهَيْنِ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ." Did you tell the people that you, O people, worship me, Jesus, and worship my mother Mary? Is that what you told the people? Isa alayhi salam will reply, "God, Subhanak, O Allah, glory be to you. Ma yakunu li an aqula ma laysa li bihaq." How can I say something that I had no haqq, no right to say? In kuntu qultuhu faqad alimta. If I had said it, if I had said that I am the Son of God, if I had said, "O people, worship me, the Son of God," if I had said something, in kuntu qultuhu faqad alimta, you would have known about it. Ta'lamu ma fi nafsi wa la a'lamu ma fi nafsik. You know what is in me, I do not know what is in you. Innaka anta allamul ghuyub, you are the knower of the unseen. Ma qultu lahum, next ayah, ayat 117. Ma qultu lahum, O Allah, I only told them, ما قلت لهم إلا ما أمرتني به أن اعبدوا الله ربي وربكم. I only told them what you told me to tell them, that you are my Rabb and you are their Rabb. This is the conversation back and forth that will take place between Allah Azza wa Jal and Isa alayhi salam. أن اعبدوا الله ربي وربكم. And as long as I was in them, then I am a witness that as long as I was in them. فَلَمَّا تَوَفَّيْتَنِي, when you took me up, كُنْتَ أَنْتَ الرَّقِيبَ عَلَيْهِمْ, you were a watcher over them. I don't know what happened after I left. After I left the scene, people started to call me Jesus, the Son of God. I don't know what happened after I left, after you lifted me up. Then Isa alayhi salam will say, ayat 118, "In tu'adhibhum, O Allah, if you punish them, the Christians, if you punish them, فَإِنَّهُمْ عِبَادُكَ, they are your servants, وَإِن تَغْفِرْ لَهُمْ, and if you forgive them, you are mighty and wise." Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam started crying on this ayah. So much so that the ground became wet. This was the Nabi of Allah. But Aisha radiallahu anha, when she came to the ayah of Surah Zumar, وَبَدَا لَهُم مِّنَ اللَّهِ مَا لَمْ يَكُونُوا يَحْتَسِبُونَ, that on the day of judgment, Allah will confront people with what they have done. They had no idea, no recollection. They never imagined, they never anticipated that Allah would confront them with the things that they had done. Allah will confront them. This is what you said, this is what you did. She would begin crying. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, when he told Aisha radiallahu anha, during his last week, when he was really ill, he said, "Oh Aisha, instruct your father to lead the prayer. What did she say? What was her response? O Nabi of Allah, my father Abu Bakr, innahu rajulun bakka. He is a man who cries profusely. Recitation begins, he cries. The moment he says Allahu Akbar and starts to recite the Quran, he starts crying. How can such a man lead the prayer? He won't even have the ability to finish the recitation. This was a fact. She wasn't just making this up. This was a fact about Abu Bakr radiallahu anh. Very soft-hearted. Rajulun bakka. But there's another reason why she said what she said. Because she knew that her father leading the prayer would be a clear indication that he should be the Khalifa. And she did not want this burden on her father. She did not want this responsibility of being the Khalifa on her father. So she said, Innahu rajulun bakka. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, no, tell him to lead the prayer. Umar radiallahu anhu, his crying, famous for crying in Fajr Salat, to the point that his crying could be heard in the back row of the masjid. When he would recite Surah Yusuf, and when he would come to this ayah of Surah Yusuf, Innama ashku bathi wa huzni ilallah, that I complain, oh Allah, I complain to you of my distress and my difficulties. He would cry profusely. This was their state. This was the condition of their heart. This was their relationship with Allah. This was their love for Allah. And this was their attachment with the Quran. A boy, 5-year-old, who has not reached puberty, he does not know the enjoyment, the joy, the pleasure that comes with physical intimacy with your spouse. It's impossible. He's only 5. He has not yet reached puberty. Similarly, we have not reached puberty, spiritual puberty. We don't know. We have no clue. We have no understanding of what joy and pleasure and spiritual ecstasy the heights of spiritual ecstasy that one can come to when reciting the Quran. What pleasure there is, what enjoyment there is in the Quran, we have no idea. Just like that 5-year-old boy has no idea. Similarly, we have no clue. Why? We have never experienced it. There are countries, even in this age, bygone era, where tissue boxes are placed around the masajid because people start crying. Quran has that. It has that strength. It can pull on the emotional cords of your heart. It can rock you to your very core if you allow it to. Yes. Umar bin Abdul Aziz, rahmatullah alayh, one ayah, فَأَنذَرْتُكُمْ نَارًا تَلَظَّى, Surah Al-Layl. Allah says, I warn you of a blazing fire. I warn you, I, Allah, warn you of a blazing fire. Could not fall asleep for 3 days. 3 nights, lost his sleep. Sleepless. فَأَنذَرْتُكُمْ نَارًا تَلَظَّى. Yes. Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhu, إِن تُبْدُوا مَا فِي أَنفُسِكُمْ أَوْ تُخْفُوهُ يُحَاسِبْكُمْ بِهِ اللَّهُ. Whether you say it with your tongue or you hide it in the deep crevices of your heart, Allah will take you to account for it. Crying the whole night. The evil thoughts that come in our hearts, Allah will take you to account for it. Yes. Sayyid ibn Jubair rahmatullah alayh, when he came to the ayah of the Quran of Surah Yasin, وَامْتَازُ الْيَوْمَ أَيُّهَا الْمُجْرِمُ أَيُّهَا الْمُجْرِمُونَ. Mumtaz. Separate yourself, O criminals. On the day of judgment, Allah will announce, O criminals, separate yourself. 2 groups, the righteous, the pious, and the criminals. He would start crying. People will say, why? He said, I don't know if on the day of judgment I will be from amongst the criminals or from amongst the righteous. وَامْتَازُوا الْيَوْمَ أَيُّهَا الْمُجْرِمُونَ. Yes. Zurara ibn Awfa, the Qadi of Basra, when he came to this ayah, فَإِذَا نُقِرَ فِي النَّاقُورِ فَذَلِكَ يَوْمَئِذٍ يَوْمٌ عَسِيرٌ. When the trumpet is blown, that will be a day of anguish, a day of difficulty, a miserable day. He fainted on the spot. Yes, it affected them. What is wrong with us? Why isn't the Quran affecting us? What has happened to our hearts? If the love of Allah is not there, something else, the love of something else is there. كل من عليها فان كل من عليها فان كل من عليها فان ويبقى وجه ربك ذو الجلال والإكرام. Spent the whole night reciting one verse. Everything in this universe, all life form will cease to exist. The only thing that will remain will be the majesty of your Lord. What joy is there in reciting the same ayah for hours and hours and hours? My answer is, what joy is there in chewing gum for hours and hours and hours? There is a joy in chewing gum for 2-3 hours, that same piece of gum. There is a joy in reciting, there is enjoyment in reciting the same ayah for hours and hours and hours. كُلُّ مَنْ عَلَيْهَا فَانٍ أَيْنَمَا تَكُونُوا يُدْرِكْكُمُ الْمَوْتُ وَلَوْ كُنْتُمْ فِي بُرُوجٍ مُشَيَّدَةٍ. Death will come to you no matter where you are, even if you are in fortified lofty castles and towers. Death will come to you. Angel of death, لَا يَمْنَعُهُ بَوَّابٌ. No security guard, no security system can stop the angel of death. It will come. Yes, the Quran affected them. Nabi Ali radiallahu anhu said, لَوْ طَهُرَتْ قُلُوبُكُمْ مَا شَبِعْتُم مِّن كَلَامِ اللَّهِ. If your hearts were clean, if your hearts were pure, then you would never be, your thirst for the Quran would never be quenched. You would always want more and more of the Quran. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has said, إِنَّ الْقُلُوبِ تَصْدَعْ كَمَا يَصْدَعُ الْحَدِيدِ. That hearts get rusty like iron gets rusty. And the Sahaba, they said, وَمَا جِلَاؤُهَا. How do you remove this rust? How do we remove this rust from the heart? Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam replied, Tilawatul Quran wa dhikrul maut. Recite the Quran and remember death. Recite the Quran and remember death. Our hearts have become rusty. My heart has become rusty. Your hearts have become rusty. We have to remove the rust from our hearts. This is the month. If not in this month, then which other month are we going to rekindle our relationship with the Quran? Next month? Which month? To sit down and in solitude, without, I have to go somewhere, I have to be somewhere, I have to do something. No, take some time out and sit down and recite the Quran with reflection, deep reflection, reciting with clear pronunciation. Some people say, what's the point of recitation if you don't understand? And that's a foolish comment. Understanding is the higher goal. Understanding is the higher goal. أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ. Allah says, do you not ponder over the Quran? Do you not think? Do you not try to understand the Quran? Or are there locks, padlocks on your heart? أَمْ عَلَى قُلُوبٍ أَقْفَالُهَا. So understanding is a higher goal. But the mere recitation also has its benefits. Why? Because this is the divine speech of Allah. Kalamullah. This is the divine speech of Allah. To understand, it's very easy to understand. One is a text message you get from a friend. You read the text message. When you read the text message, the words are your friend, but the voice is yours. Correct? Quran is like your friend leaving a voicemail. Now when you listen to that voicemail, that voice is also whose? All the previous scriptures were like text messages. There was not divine speech. You could say divine text, but it was not divine speech. Quran is divine speech. It's like voicemail. So yes, there is benefit in just reciting the Quran even without understanding. And pausing where you need to pause, stretching where you need to stretch, and thinking over the meaning of the Quran. If a person does not know how to read the Quran, he should still make wudu. Open the Quran and say, 𝙁𝙊𝙇𝙇𝙊𝙒, 𝙁𝙊𝙇𝙊𝙇𝙊𝙒, 𝙁𝙊𝙇𝙊𝙒. Point to the Quran. You don't know a single word. You don't know how to read. You point to the Quran and you say, this is the speech of my Lord. Turn the page. This is the speech of my Lord. This is the speech of my Lord. This also has its benefits. Yes. May Allah Azza wa Jal enable us to strengthen our bond with Allah Azza wa Jal. May Allah Azza wa Jal give us His love. If a person has the love of Allah, then tears will swell up in your eyes, and your eyes will get misty when you read the Quran. Yes. May Allah Azza wa Jal enable us to rekindle our bond relationship with the Quran. Please praise.